Satan walks this earth, and he wants to do everything in his power to breed evil and to, really control every element of the body. He wants to pervert, he wants to twist, he wants to contaminate God's creation in every way possible, from our food to our farming to our body to everything we do day to day. And he's doing that, and you're seeing that. This is why it's so important as Christians that we continue to be the light in the darkness, to keep exposing this evil. And a lot of people are like, oh, that's not this is too heavy. This is too, I don't like that energy. I don't like that vibe. Well, in order to have solutions, we have to expose the darkness. We have to talk about these things.
Hey friends, welcome back. Thanks so much for being here. That was American hero, Dr. Ben Tapper, one of the Disinformation Dozen, according to the Center for Online Digital Hate. A real oxymoron, in fact, run by a complete and total moron. Can you imagine? These are the same people that want to criminalize speech about Jesus Christ and biblical truth. For real, on the record. In this one, we talk about disappointments and betrayals from Donald J. Trump, and the evil agendas of those who are pushing mRNA-based quote-unquote vaccines, which I gotta tell you, are bioweapons. Friends, thanks so much for being here. Before we start, just a quick word about a valued sponsor. We all know we're under attack, and not just from the air we breathe or the food we eat. We're being exposed to mRNA technology, injected into the food supply, spreading through shedding, and now 5G radiation saturating our environments with frequencies we still don't fully understand. These threats disrupt our biology at a cellular level, weakening immunity, inflaming our systems, and damaging our gut, the control center of our health. That's why I take Kamichi 1 from Bright Core Nutrition. Each capsule is packed with over 900 strains of probiotics, live enzymes, and antioxidants to help flush out toxins, rebuild gut balance, and fortify your immune system against the daily assault. Kamichi 1 is all natural and 100% made in the USA by a company that truly cares about your health and freedom. So if you want to defend your body naturally, this is where to start. Right now, exclusively for my viewers, you can get 25% off Kamichi 1 by using code SGT at mybrightcore.com/SGT. Or, better yet, call 888-688-0642 for up to 50% off. Free shipping only when you call. The link and information is below. Hey friends, welcome back. Thank you so very much for being here. Sean from SGT Report. I'm coming at you this Monday, the 30th of March, with a heavy heart, and it's just the way I woke up today. I'm sorry, guys. Sometimes you wake up and you've got that skip in your step and you're ready to take on the world. Well, today I'm feeling a little defeated. I'm feeling very sad, in fact. Trump signals response to Haifa refinery strike. Besant vows to retake Hormuz over time, with hundreds of U.S. Special Forces already in the region, folks. I just want to remind you all what this man said.
Whether people like Trump or don't like Trump, I settled 8 wars, big ones, some going on for 36 years, 32 years, 31 years, 28 years, 25 years, some just getting ready to start, like India and Pakistan, where already 8 jets were shot out of the air, and I got it done in rapid order without nuclear weapons. I can't think of anybody in history that should get the Nobel Prize more than me, and I don't want to be bragging, but nobody else settled wars. Obama got the Nobel Prize. He had no idea why. He still has no idea. He walks around, he says, I got the Nobel Prize. Why did he get a Nobel Prize? He got it almost immediately upon attaining office, and he didn't do anything, and he was a bad president. So, you should get the Nobel Prize for every war you stopped. These were major wars. These were wars that nobody thought could be stopped. President Putin called me and he said about 2 of the wars that he's been trying to stop them for 10 years. He wasn't able to do it. He couldn't believe it.
All right, I'll pause it there. All true. Pretty incredible accomplishments. And yet here we are, folks. In my view, they did not sign up for this, folks. This is the president who promised us peace and prosperity and no more wars in the Middle East. Certainly no war with Iran. And here go our best and brightest into another meat grinder, and I am really really sad about it. I've got a heavy heart, and maybe Dr. Ben Tapper can help us digest some of this today. He is one of the heroes in the health freedom space, to be sure. One of the dirty dozen, the disinformation dozen, too. Dr. Ben Tapper is here. How are you, sir?
Sean, doing great. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks so much for coming on. And I just want to show a couple of things here. It's very important that people know that you are one of the truth soldiers. You're not in the military, neither am I. And my heart goes out to those men because, Dr. Tapper, I don't think they signed up for this. A lot of folks signed up after Trump won because he promised peace. He promised peace. He promised no new wars, and here we are. Well, guess what? There's also a war being waged against speech, as you all know, and Dr. Ben Tapper is taking on Google, I think YouTube as well. Here's the Give, Send, Go. If you want to support the incredible effort to sue these companies who don't want you to know the truth about the dangers of vaccines and the dangers of mRNA technology, if you want to take these folks on, like Ben Tapper's taking them on with a lawsuit filed in Florida, which, by the way, is very, very smart, here's the Give, Send, Go. Dr. Tapper, again, welcome to the show. Why don't you frame up that lawsuit, and then we'll get started here.
Yeah, well, thanks for plugging that, Sean. It means the world to me because every penny that people donate to is going to our legal defense. We're already acquired around $200,000 in legal fees just to get this up and running. This is a lawsuit for our freedom of speech. This is really to defend our freedoms. As you know, I was labeled one of the Disinformation Dozen. President Biden said on national television that I'm responsible for 65% of the misinformation on vaccinations. I was shooting for 100%. But they censored us, deplatformed us. I had millions of followers on across my social media. They wiped all my social media clean. They deleted 6 of my accounts on Instagram. I was permanently banned on YouTube, TikTok, PayPal, Venmo, just because we were telling the truth. Now, I want to be very clear. Anytime the government labels our voices, then they can make an excuse to control them. And, freedom of speech was never there to protect popular voices. It was there to protect dangerous voices. And, and that's really what the freedom of speech is all about. And, and if we don't protect our freedom of speech, then deaf and silent and dumb will be led like sheep to slaughter. So it's vitally important that we fight back and protect the freedoms because we only have the freedoms and liberties that we're willing to defend. And, going back to your statement with the war here, and the soldiers, they didn't sign up for that. This is an unconstitutional war. And we are fighting many wars, domestic and afar, but some are more justified than others. But really, we're getting hit from all angles. So you open the show of, man, feeling that weight, the burden that we're in. I feel that too. We are in spiritual warfare more than ever before. So vitally important that we know who to cling to in this, and that is Christ. That's our only thing we have hope in. So, yeah. But thanks for having me on. It's good to be here.
I'm thrilled to have you, and I appreciate it. I think we're kindred spirits, and all any of us want who were previously part of this MAGA base who voted for this man is peace and prosperity for our nation. That's all we want. We truly want to live in peace. I think we are a nation of peaceful people, and yet this damn government continues to get us into war after war after war after war, and it's starting to wake us, so many of us up. It's starting to wake so many of us up, Dr. Ben Tapper, to the fact that it doesn't appear to matter who is sitting in the White House. There will just be more wars, and that's why I have such a heavy heart today. And I wanted to ask you this, because when we talk about speech, free speech, I've been targeted by the ADL, by the SPLC, Southern Poverty Law Center, by the Washington Post, who did a hit piece about me. I've been kicked off of YouTube. I've been kicked off of PayPal. I've been kicked off of all those platforms, Patreon, Vimeo. The Center for Countering Digital Hate. Tell us about them. Tell us about the oxymoron that is a group called Center for Countering Digital Hate when all you do is tell the truth because you actually love humanity.
Absolutely. I mean, what we're doing is trying to protect our children. We want healthy children. Okay. And so, we don't gain anything by speaking out, trying to raise awareness. Again, once you hear some of these stories and you hear these things, you start looking into the facts, which I said facts and evidence around vaccination. You start to realize, gosh, these have adverse reactions and there's a lot of truth that's being censored here because they don't want you to know the truth. I mean, Google wiped out most of my folders of my vaccine folders for almost 2 decades. They suppress this information. People are like, well, where's your evidence? I'm like, well, most of the evidence has been taken away offline. And so this is why books are important. They can't get rid of my books. I have books that are over 100 years old talking about compulsory vaccination and then how it's a farce and how this is all, based on lies. And so this Center for Countering Digital Hate is a foreign organization that's based off of, it's not even rooted here in America. It's for actually Emrod Ahmed. He's like the only employee. He's also the CEO or president of that organization, but they said it's hate speech. And if you look at some of these government officials like Walls from Minnesota, he said that he believes in freedom of speech unless it's deemed hateful. Think about that for a second. Oh, I'm all for freedom of speech unless it's hateful and you hurt someone's feelings. Then we have every right to silence you and suppress you and censor you. No, that's not what freedom of speech is about. Freedom of speech is dangerous. That's there to protect it. Just like the Second Amendment. Second Amendment is a dangerous thing. It can be, but it's a freedom. Freedom isn't safe, but it's the safest thing we have. We have to understand that principle. But the whole thing around freedom of speech in this lawsuit, they deemed us as hateful, which is a slippery slope. And this is why I said earlier, if you can label our voice, then the government can make the excuse to censor and pass legislation in favor of hateful speech. And so we have to tell the truth, but they want us to think that we're so dumb that we can't discern what the truth is here. Even Imran Ahmed, if you look at YouTube, there's a KTV Channel 7 interview, on myself and Imran Ahmed. And Imran Ahmed's like, when people listen to so-called Dr. Ben Tapper, then people think, gee, I should look into that more. Well, you should. The vaccine courts from 86 have paid out more than $5 billion in injuries, and only 1% of vaccine injuries get reported. And less than 1% even make it to the court systems. So this is a giant evil industry that they're going to come out and try to protect this $1 trillion industry more now than ever before. And so people need to wake up. They need to hear this. It's an ongoing struggle to get this information out to the people. And I gain nothing by speaking out here. I get slandered. I get persecuted. I get ridiculed. I lose friends. I have lost family because of this. They disowned us because I was labeled the Disinformation Dozen. I put my reputation on the line here because that whole article went out. It went global. It just didn't go domestically here. They did publish it in my hometown. They published it in the town I practice in. I lost patience. But again, I do this because my convictions are greater than my complacency and and greater than my fear of persecution.
Well, it's your calling, right? And because you are pure of heart, I'm going to make that claim for you. I don't know what lies in your heart. See, that's the thing I kept saying about Donald J. Trump, too, when I supported him. And others in the space were saying, no, he's going to sell us out. Look at his connections. He's going to sell us out. And I said, look, he's saying the right things, but I don't know what lies in his heart. So I'll say the same for you, Dr. Ben Tapper. I don't know what lies in your heart, but I think you come from a place of truth because you do stand against these winds of tyranny. Right? It's so much easier to be a knee bender. These people I keep pointing out on X, Gunther Eagleman, Insurrection Barbie, the ones that malign Candace and Tucker for speaking truth about this war and about Charlie's assassination, they're maligned constantly by these same people. The Brandon Tatums of the world, the Mark Levins, the Ben Shapiros of the world. These are all knee benders, and you refuse to bend the knee, as do I. And for that, I take my hat off. So tell us about the lawsuit and why it's different than the lawsuit I filed along with my friends that were kicked off of YouTube October 15th, 2020 without cause or warning. We tried to sue Google and YouTube, but we had to do so in California court. You've smartly taken a different tact.
Yeah, so this isn't our first rodeo. If you look at my other lawsuit, if you type in DOJ versus TNI, or the Children's Health Defense versus TNI, I got asked to be a plaintiff with Bobby Kennedy initially, and then when he announced for presidency, it was a conflict of interest to be him in this lawsuit. So he stepped down, and now he's just representing us as an attorney. So that lawsuit, we learned a lot, and we had to actually refile, I think 4 or 5 times in different basically areas of states, because they know they're very strategic. When you file a lawsuit like this, they will file motions to move the case to a judge that's an ally to them, and usually coincidentally it's in California or New York, which is more of these left-leaning states, and they'll find a judge in their favor. So thankfully our lawsuit has been filed in Florida, and so far it's sticking there, and I pray it sticks there. We are kind of in an interesting tipping point in this lawsuit, because our judge did dismiss the lawsuit in Florida, but without prejudice, which means that he's not making a decision. He said he wants more information on the lawsuit, and then we get to refile in Florida. So it's in a unique place. It's actually at a tipping point. So it's all or nothing right now. So we are praying that God shines light on that. And so this is a lawsuit to protect our freedoms, and unfortunately, we have to go to the courts to defend our freedoms. And this is a monumental case. I mean, the Missouri versus Biden here just settled, but if you really look at kind of what the agreements were in that settlement, it's kind of lousy. Yes, it does give us some protection against these giant corporations when it comes to freedom of speech, but it's not like I would say this lawsuit is more monumental to protect our freedoms of speech, especially with healthcare, because as we know during COVID and big pharma has a stronghold on our healthcare system. They have infiltrated our government, and what you're seeing is a lot of big pharma is in bed with our government, and they're protecting this evil industry. And I have a lot of disappointments. I'm thankful that vaccinations have come to the forefront of this administration. Bobby Kennedy talking about it, and Trump talking about it, but I was like so disappointed when Trump came out there and it's like, yes, we're going to talk about autism and correlation and with something, and it's Tylenol. Don't take Tylenol. And I'm just like, people, why? What's the cause? It's not just the acetaminophen that's robbing the body of glutathione, that there's a toxicity issue, and it's vaccinations. Look at the metal toxicity. Look at the amount of abortal fetal cell lines in these vaccines. Look at the foreign cell lines. We have SV40. We have hamster cell lines. We have MDCK cell lines, which is Medine Darby Cocker Spaniel kidney cells that are in flu shots, COVID vaccines. Look at all these different vaccine cell lines that are tied to autoimmune disorders. Look at, people say the aluminum's safe. They said aluminum adjuvants. No. And then they said they want to remove thimerosal. Well, if you look at the thimerosal in the manufacturing, production, and development of vaccines, it's impossible to remove thimerosal from the manufacturing because that's like the main ingredient in all vaccines. Trump did post on Truth Social, that they're all poison. And I agree with that. I mean, he posted that. And I like, well, why are we talking about Tylenol? Let's just rip the Band-Aid off here and expose a lot of these vaccinations because it's causing harm. It's maiming our children. And what I say, what seeds are to the farmer to bring a crop, vaccines are to big pharma to bring disease, because this is an industry that does not profit when we are well. They profit when we are sick. They don't want to cure disease. They want to manage it. And that's the real issue.
Yeah, I want to ask you about Trump and some of the disappointments you bump on. By the way, these are some of the knee benders. Again, guys, these are the same people who just a year or two ago were saying no more wars, no more U.S. involvement in foreign wars, cat turd. No war with Iran, said Rob Schneider, who now is cheerleading all of it, folks. And I am disgusted by these people. True knee benders. You can find Dr. Ben Tapper over on Substack. I will leave it linked below. And I want to remind everybody about some of the disappointments that have come from this administration. I might call some of them betrayals, frankly. But Dr. Ben Tapper made this note on January of 2025. Get me off the planet, second day in office, and he's pushing a cancer vaccine? Are you kidding me? Make no mistake, this will cause more harm than good. Health does not come from a needle. Folks, what's he talking about? Here's Larry Ellison.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the most exciting things we're working on, using the tools that Sam and MAHA are providing, is a cancer vaccine. It's very interesting. It turns out, I'll be quick, all of our cancers, cancer tumors, little fragments of those tumors float around in your blood. So you can do early cancer detection. If you can do you can do early cancer detection with a blood test. And using AI.
Okay. I think we've heard enough. Or maybe I should keep playing it. Ben Tapper, should I keep playing it? Or have we heard enough based on now what we're finding out with the CIA covering up the truth about cancer? These quote unquote tumors, what are they specifically? I mean, the disappointments from this administration, I just cannot overstate.
Right. I think that's, I saw that and I was literally, I couldn't believe my ears. Second day in office and that happened, and it's definitely disheartening, concerning. Again, it doesn't come from a needle, and it's clearly obvious that they are wanting to profit again, this is more indication. Hey, let's just continue down the rabbit hole, kick the can down the hall here with the vaccines, and let's create another vaccine for this and another vaccine for that. I heard statements that they want to have over 200 vaccines on the schedule by 2030 or 2050, something like that. And we're getting there. They're going to have vaccines for everything, especially this mRNA technology, and it's something that we need to be highly aware of. And even this CRISPR-Cas9 technology, which is something that I was a little timid to speak on, but you have administration pushing CRISPR-Cas9, and that's basically playing God with our genetics. They can tap into this, the genome of our body and cause, turn on disease and turn it off at will. And that's very concerning when you have an industry like Big Pharma that has zero integrity, and when it revolves around our health. And that's something I think needs to be addressed and talked about. But again, this mRNA technology is scary to me. It's playing God with our body. And you got this Larry Ellison guy talking about how we're going to have a cancer vaccine, and that it's going to be good. I mean, every year we have roughly, I think it was around 600,000 people die of cancer, something like that. One out of, the stats are almost 1 out of 2 people will get cancer in their life, some form of cancer, and it's very concerning. And the cause, is we are in an environment. We were never meant to live in a concrete industrial zoo. We have our food that's nutritionally bankrupt. We have glyphosate, which is a known carcinogen. We spray millions and millions and millions and millions of pounds of that on our American soil, which leaches into our water systems. I can go on and on and on. And, SV40 in these vaccines has been linked to cancers. And so, but yeah, you want to create another vaccine that's for cancer. And it's really disheartening.
Yeah, and particularly so when we begin to realize that B17, Laetrile, is very effective at helping you never get cancer. And now we know that the CIA has been covering up the truth about cancer and parasites for decades. So this is finally breaking. It's all over X, and people need to wake up. I mean, they've lied to us at every turn. So of course, in upside down world, in a fallen world such as this one, Ben, of course they would target you for digital hate, for telling the truth and then flipping the script and calling it digital hate. Of course, because we live in a fallen world where we're just starting to wake up about the very truth of cancer, this thing they call cancer. You want to talk a little bit about that? This idea that most tumors are parasitic infections? Do you think that's entirely true or partially true?
I think that is partially true. And I do think that so you have to look at cancers. And in my opinion, okay, I've studied mushrooms, and this is just my opinion. This is my thought processes. Okay. I do think that cancers are absolutely, can be parasitic. Absolutely. Now, they can also be parasitic from a characteristic standpoint. What I mean by that is fungus can be considered like parasitic. How do you say it? Like a characteristic of a parasite,
Sure.
The way it spreads. So like I studied mushrooms, I inoculated logs for like shiitakes and lion's mane, and studying this fungus in the soil. And really, the level of health in the soil is really dependent upon the fungus in the forest, and it's amazing. I mean, fungus outnumbers plants 6 to 1, and the way fungus grows and spreads in the soil is fascinating. And it reminds me so much of how the nervous system operates. But the way fungus grows is and metastasizes very similar to cancer, how it metastasizes. And all cancer spreads to the spine. It's going after the nervous system. That's why cancer can be so deadly. So I do think that cancer is parasitic. I do think it can be fungal. I do believe that there can be other vascular causes besides parasites or anything like that. But I think that a lot of the evidence is out there that, hey, instead of we don't know what's causing this, I think it can be linked to that. But I want to share something to you with you here. This was published in 1889. Okay, and the surgeons reported this on cancer. They literally stated cancers from parasites. They said at the sitting of the Academy of Science in Paris, M.M. Buffute and Cedel Roosevelt, surgeons of great distinction, addressed to the Academy of Medicine a detailed note on the animal culae, or small animals resembling lice, which are found and all the cancers that they have examined, meaning that it's parasites. Okay. That was in 1889. So going back to this, yes, 100%, I think it's um, parasitic, a lot of them. Now, if you look at a lot of other old literature that's been buried and silenced, in the late 1800s, cancer was a hot topic. Why? Because they've really never seen a lot of these cancers. They've, a lot of physicians are on record saying, I've never seen anything like this till the implementation of smallpox vaccination. Okay. And I have a mountain of literature that will confirm that. So many physicians. There's a book out there called The Poison Needle that was written in the 1950s. And that book has all this documentation that you'll ever need, talking about all these physicians talking about cancer. So it's very, very interesting. So I do think that it is very parasitic in nature.
Sorry for the quick break. War with Iran and the closure of the Straits of Hormuz isn't going to help. New numbers out of Washington show inflation is on the rise again. Another threat to you, your savings account, and your retirement. Ask yourself an honest question. Does your dollar go as far as it did 10 years ago? How about 5 years ago? How about yesterday? So what does the next decade look like for you and your savings? If your portfolio lacks exposure to gold, one of history's most reliable economic hedges, it's time to rethink your strategy. Gold has kept up with inflation and in many periods outpaced it. Our friends at Noble Gold Investments specialize in helping people protect their wealth with physical gold and silver. Whether you're rolling over an IRA or making a direct purchase, their team walks you through the entire process and they'll make it simple. No pressure, just education and experience. Right now, all new qualified accounts will receive a free 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagle as a thank you. There are no guarantees in any investment decision, so work with a trusted financial advisor. And then visit noblegoldinvestments.com or sgtreportgold.com and discover how easy it is to protect your financial future. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. The link is below.
So many physicians. There's a book out there called The Poison Needle that was written in the 1950s. And that book has all this documentation that you'll ever need, talking about all these physicians talking about cancer. So it's very, very interesting. So I do think that it is very parasitic in nature.
Let me ask a follow-up question regarding cancer, because we see constantly on X photos of beautiful humans, young people, young women. I just saw one this morning. Gone, taken because of fast-acting cancer. And I'm not sure in the case of the woman I'm referencing that I saw today on X having passed away, her daughter posted something very nice about her mom getting cancer and dying very quickly. I'm not sure exactly, her vaccine background. Did she take the COVID bioweapon death jab or not? But with that stated regarding all of these fast-acting cancers, my heart always goes out to these people, and I wonder, and they probably don't know, but I wonder, do they know about fenbendazole, menbendazole? Do they know of the work of Dr. William Marcus? Do they know about alternative treatments? What could you share with the audience about if, God forbid, they get a cancer diagnosis and they're told they don't have much time to live? Where would you advise people to turn immediately? What should their first course of action be, as opposed to running out and getting chemo? Or maybe in addition to that?
Yeah, first off, I hate chemo. My grandma died. I'm pretty sure my grandma didn't die of um, necessarily cancer, but the chemo had a major effect on it. My cousin died of, I would say, chemo. He was 19 years old. And the chemo is just so toxic for the body. But if I, God forbid, ever got cancer, I've heard people having high success rates with the ivermectin fenben combo. And so that's something I would definitely be open to trying. I would recommend that. Dr. Makis is doing great work in that area, and I know he has had a lot of results. I know people personally that have tried the ivermectin and fenben combo and they had success with it. And ivermectin is an anti-parasitic. So what does that tell you? I also follow the work of Charlotte Gerson. She passed away here a few years back, but her dad, Max Gerson, took 1,000 patients, had stage 4 cancer, that basically were left from the hospital field. He cured all 100% of them. Okay, so Gerson therapy is not even really legal to do in the States, or you can't necessarily claim that you're treating cancer. You have to say it's a therapeutic, or can maybe aid in helping. But really, Max Gerson, the protocol there is to do coffee enemas, and they juice 30 to 40 different 30 to 40 pounds of fruits and vegetables a day. The coffee enema sounds really weird, but basically what happens when you do that, the body releases glutathione peroxidase in the body, which is the most powerful antioxidant the body produces, and also puts the body in, with the juices, it puts the body in an alkaline state. There's a book out there called The pH Miracle, and basically what happens when we have cancer or autoimmune or all these other diseases and ailments, I'm not talking our blood pH, I'm talking everything else pH. If we become into an acidic state, if we have chronic stress, we go into an acidic state. So it's important that we alkalize the body. This is why I also am huge on electrolytes. Getting the body alkaline is very important because it can help combat cancer, whether cancer is parasitic or not. So I think that is step one, getting the body into an alkaline state. I would do Gerson if I had the time. Gerson is something that I believe is very tried and true. I didn't know someone personally that had 3 months left to live. They did Gerson therapy and they recovered. Now, so that being said, if it is parasitic, you always have to ask yourself, why are the parasites there? So taking an anti-parasitic can help relieve and get rid of those parasites, absolutely. But is it creating the environment that allowed the parasites to come in? What do I mean by that? First off, I always look at the trash. When you leave trash out, it attracts the flies. So, and if I took a spray to kill the flies, that's great, but that resolved the trash. We need to address the trash, right? Does that make sense? So, and that's my view. But again, ivermectin can definitely help. And I've known people that have tried it. So something to consider.
Yeah, 1000%. I would advise everybody to get on X. If you're not on X, start an account just so you can get the news about this subject matter. There's incredible stuff happening in the space, in the alternative cancer treatment space, and Dr. Makis is spreading good news just about every day. Some of these people with stage 3, stage 4 cancer, even systemic cancer spreading through their organs, have been cured using some of these protocols. And I just want to share this because it's really incredible to me that Dr. Tapper brought this up. The work of our good friend, Dr. Robert Young, The pH Miracle. Is this the book you were referring to?
That's it.
Yeah, he's a good man, and he lingers in a California prison as we speak for daring to help a patient, and the persecution of truth tellers continues. Changing directions on you a little bit, but I want to share this clip from the Sean Ryan show. Sean Ryan and Joe Kent talking about what Trump did for Bayer regarding glyphosate. And this takes me back to the disappointments and betrayals. Listen to this, guys.
Did you see the glyphosate stuff?
I did.
The Make America Healthy Again movement.
Right.
Immunity.
Right.
Immunity.
Yep.
Because of what? A national security issue? Do you know how many people fucking died of cancer last year? 618,000. That's not a national security concern? You know where the highest concentration of glyphosate is? It's in Iowa. Do you know where the highest concentration of cancer is?
Iowa.
It's in Iowa.
Yeah.
And he just gave them immunity.
Yeah.
We're calling the fentanyl crisis a national security concern. That's 100,000 people. Cancer is 618,000 fucking people in 1 year.
Yeah.
And he just gave them immunity.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, I think this is why I have a heavy heart today. Okay. This is the same president whose FBI told that man, Joe Kent, you're not going to look into foreign interference or foreign involvement in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. You're not going there. Okay. Neither is Tulsi, your boss. Neither is Tulsi Gabbard, your boss. Okay. So this is what I'm talking about. Disappointments and betrayals. Where do you think that one ranks, Ben? Immunity for Bayer and glyphosate for all future damages against humanity, or at least against we Americans.
Right. Well, I think it goes to show you that, Bayer, a lot of these giant pharmaceutical companies and the establishment is in bed with our government, and they're one and the same. And so to me, it's like we cannot trust our government when it comes to our health. In fact, I say this all the time. Thomas Jefferson stated it, that if the people let the government decide what foods they eat, what medicines they take, their bodies will soon be in a sorry state as those souls who live in our tyranny. They're protecting private interest here. And that was a massive slap in the face to all the people raising awareness on this issue. I mean, glyphosate is a one of the most toxic ingredients on the planet. It is a carcinogen. It is a massive nutrient chelator. It will take everything out of the body. It'll disrupt your gut. It will cause you to get sick. And we continue to spray it. And are you kidding me? Why? Again, it's a safety issue. Yeah. Well, I'm glad um, Sean Ryan was talking about that, but it is a massive issue, and it's they found glyphosate in umbilical cords. They have found it in almost everything. It's everywhere because why? They spray it, and I'm from Iowa, and I can tell you firsthand that we had a river, the Sioux River, and all these farmers lined up along that Sioux River, and make no mistake, they're spraying all these chemicals all around that river. We called it the cancer trail because all these people along that river, they had cancer. And I guarantee you there was direct correlation with that glyphosate.
It just leaves me speechless. It really does. The level of betrayal that I feel at this point, it can't be overstated. And you know what? The reason I keep screaming this from the rooftops, guys, is because I fear that if I just said trust the plan, and I got to trust the plan on this after we've been repeatedly lied to, after they've run interference regarding the investigation of who actually murdered Charlie Kirk, if I just stood back and said, hey, guys, trust the plan, I think that would qualify me as having Stockholm syndrome. If we don't speak out against the lies and the betrayals, then we suffer from Stockholm syndrome. This is new information that's breaking recently. Project Artichoke. 70 years ago, the CIA discussed hiding mind control drugs in vaccines. A recently unearthed April 23rd, 1952 CIA document, Special Research for Artichoke, describes a series of ideas for how to develop chemicals designed to alter human behavior and thought. Boy, have they come a long way since 1952, Dr. Ben Tapper. God knows how many people are mind controlled as we speak because of the technology that we don't know about.
That's exactly right.
Is it right, or is that a bridge too
Yes.
far? Did I just make a
No.
jump?
I think if people really knew what was happening, they wouldn't even believe it. I mean, the evil that is happening it's so far people's comprehension. It just is mind blowing. And it's just in a cognitive dissonance that people will have. They just write it off as crazy or it doesn't happen. It's not, they would never do that to us. No, it's happening. Satan walks this earth and he wants to do everything in his power to breed evil, and to really control every element of the body. He wants to pervert, he wants to twist, he wants to contaminate God's creation in every way possible, from our food to our farming to our body to everything we do to day. And he's doing that, and you're seeing that. This is why it's so important as Christians that we continue to be the light in the darkness, to keep exposing this evil. And a lot of people are like, oh, this is too heavy. This is too, I don't like that energy. I don't like that vibe. Well, in order to have solutions, we have to expose the darkness. We have to talk about these things. I'm not doom and gloom here. I know that, God wins in the end here, and our hope is in Christ. He has overcome the world and he has overcome death. And that's my hope. But there's a real evil here. Like you mentioned, Project Artichoke. They're talking about vaccinations. How can they control thought through vaccinations? Even Coca-Cola or water or the foods that we consume. And that was a precursor to MK Ultra. Look at what this. Look at the evil of DARPA and the CRISPR-Cas9 technology. Don't even get me started on that. I mean that could, Sean, have a whole part two of an episode. And DARPA's evil intentions with CRISPR controlling thought processes and everything else. And this is how developed and evolved. Who knows what they're doing today with this AI stuff? And I think it's very concerning.
I know a little bit about CRISPR gene editing technology. Do you want to just give us the cliff notes on the danger that represents? And by the way, then I'll tell you a funny anecdote about the evil Bill Gates and everything he's up to. He loves this technology, mRNA technology, gene splicing. I mean, these people are basically, it reminds me a lot of what might have been going on in Sodom and Gomorrah. We already know about their sex crimes and their crimes against children. God only knows what else they were doing with human hybrids, and God only knows what they were doing in Sodom and Gomorrah. But he smited them out with fire and brimstone. But CRISPR technology and the dangers. Can you give us the elevator pitch for people who have no idea about it?
So let me just tell you this. They have tapped into the motherboard of the body. Okay. They want to play God with our body. Okay. Basically, they have tapped into ways to tap into our DNA or edit DNA. Okay, so to give you an example of CRISPR-Cas9 and what the capacities are here, they can go in and splice in. It's like molecular splicing to really simplify it. The spider goat is the best analogy to use here, or illustration, because they've done it. It's tried and true. They took a goat and they spliced the DNA of the goat with a type of spider. They wanted this type of spider because of the web qualities, and they wanted to produce the protein that was made in the spider web, but they wanted on mass quantities because obviously the spider doesn't produce enough of this web to really to make a commercial product. So what do? They splice in the DNA of this goat. So the goat looked like a goat, ate like a goat, acted like a goat, but the milk from this goat was producing this protein of the spider web. Okay, and so they can mass produce this protein, and so now they can create products. I think it's either 9 or 90 times stronger than steel because the proteins in the spider web is so strong, and that's why they wanted it. They wanted to mass produce this, and so now they're creating products out of this product using the CRISPR-Cas9 technologies. And a lot of people are saying, "Oh, this is going to be a good thing. This is going to be a good thing." And you got Elon Musk talking about Neuralink and all these different things. And to me, I'm like, "Oh, sounds like CRISPR-Cas9." They're going to try to really it's like transhumanism. Go in, they can molecular splice different things or attributes and turn on disease and turn it off, and make no mistake, there's going to be some good that will come out of it, and that's how they're going to sell it on the people. They're like, oh, we can restore neural function, with paralysis or cure paralysis with this Neuralink CRISPR-Cas9 technology. And maybe there's a little bit of a distinction between the Neuralink and CRISPR, but CRISPR is a methodology to use to cause any type of genetic expression that they desire, and that is even with foreign species. And that to me is transhumanism. It's evil, and it's interfering and playing God with our genetics. I remember, Sean, back in the 90s when everybody was up in arms when they're talking about how they're genetically modifying our soybean, and they're like, they're playing God with our food. And now they do it all the time, and nobody even seems to care.
That's right.
It's just this complacency and evil.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what I think I'm so troubled about, is the normalization of evil throughout our society. Whether it's the genocide in Gaza, the targeting of children by snipers, and then when the parents come out, those people get sniped, the parents get sniped as well. The normalization of evil with the Epstein emails and no arrests. It's absolutely horrifying. And just to tie it together for the audience in terms of the way I'm feeling, I feel betrayed by President Trump because, as I stated earlier, I didn't know what lies in the man's heart, but he was saying all the right things, and America needed a hero. America needed a selfless hero that would put America first and put the bad guys in prison. What has happened? Well, as far as I can tell, precious little of that. The way I view it is Donald J. Trump was going to be our Hail Mary, right? We needed that last-minute touchdown to save this nation. What do we have instead? Guys like Bill Gates, who are welcomed into the White House along with Larry Ellison. Here's Bill Gates on mRNA technology. You, sir, will have it one way or the other, whether you like it or not.
Making the mRNA is really easy and really cheap, and that's the magic of this thing. But there's no doubt in the next 5 years, we can, we just need to mess around. There's a lot of lipid nanoparticles, and some are very self-assembling. There's no inherent reason it's not thermostable, it's not cheap, and it's not scalable. And so as over the 5 years, we fix that part of it, mature it, which is very typical, we'll be able to build factories worldwide that can make $2 vaccines with even less lead time than we've had to have here during this pandemic. And we'll use those, as you suggest. For every disease that we don't have vaccines, we will try mRNA. In fact, for HIV, we have multiple ways, one that's more of a B cell approach, one that's more of a T cell approach. For malaria, we have multiple ideas. For TB, we have multiple ideas. And so to fill in the missing vaccines, we'll make a lot of our bets of the Gates Foundation and others who care about global health will be mRNA focused.
Basically, Bill Gates, yes, he wants to get mRNA in our food. He wants to get mRNA. He's talked about it. And I think people need to understand Bill Gates wants to depopulate the planet. I mean, he's talked about it. He said we can lower the population through vaccination. So mRNA in our food, Bill Gates is not our friend.
No, he's a demon creature and he walks free. By the way,
Right.
Anthony Fauci, a genocidal maniac, walks free. So here's my point. Bill Gates is a eugenicist. And you know how I said, guys, we needed a Hail Mary from President Donald J. Trump. He was our last chance to save our republic. Now here we go walking off a cliff to fight Iran in a war that's completely unnecessary, I think, for Israel. Well, guess what? The new film, Project Hail Mary, I've already recounted this once in an episode, Ben, but I wanted to share it with you. The number one film in the world right now, starring Ryan Gosling. It's a good movie. My wife and I went and saw it. It's pretty decent. It's like a kid's movie. It's like an E.T. type thing. Very benign, but here's the plot of the movie. The plot of Project Hail Mary, starring Ryan Gosling, is to save the Earth from a dimming sun. Our sun is dimming. The scientists don't know why, and many of the suns in the galaxy are dimming. And therefore, if we don't figure out how that's happening and reverse it, if Gosling can't fly into space to a sun off in the distance that isn't dimming and figure out how to save our sun that is dimming, in 30 years, half of Earth's population will be dead. That's the premise of the movie. Meanwhile, Bill Gates, a real boogeyman who walks free, wants to dim the sun. So that's what I'm talking about, man. We live in upside down world, and Hollywood's kind of flaunting it at this point. Ryan Gosling will save us from a dimming sun. Well, Bill Gates walks free and actually wants to dim the sun and call the population of Earth by probably more than 50% and probably a lot quicker than 30 years from now, Ben.
Right. It's concerning. This is why, I'm going to be a broken record here, but we need Jesus. We need to put our faith in him. This world is, I feel like, this world's going to be crumbling before our eyes. Evil is running rampant. And we need to have a hope. And hope is very powerful. It's the only drug should be given. It's the most powerful drug on the planet. But it keeps us going, keeps me carrying through, knowing that there's going to be victory in the end. There's going to be hope in the end. And Christ is our ticket. He's our ticket out of here. He's our ticket to that we put our faith in. And that's what keeps me, he's my strength. The joy of the Lord is my strength. And because a lot of these topics are very, very heavy, they can be very burdensome. They weigh us down. They can steal our joy. It's a real reality. But just as it says in Matthew, we put, Christ, he makes our burdens light, his yoke is easy. We put our faith in him, and we put our trust in him, and that's what will carry us through, because the world is a dark place. It's very dark, and we're getting hit from all angles. All angles. There's an evil that runs the world. You got people contaminating, perverting our food. You got toxicity issues that are in our soil that are causing us to get sick. We got parasites everywhere. They're spraying the skies to block out the sun. I can't control that. I mean, I deal with heavy topics daily. I got people, moms and dads, reaching out to me constantly, asking, begging for help because their children was injured from a vaccine. Where do they turn? I'm dealing with, all these different heavy topics. And to me, it's like, man, we just need to put our faith in Christ, and it will help. It will help us carry us through. And that's my 2 cents here, because I don't know where else to turn, Sean. I have no idea where else to turn when everything is so dark and gloomy that, Christ is a very bright, shining light, of a glimpse of hope for me. And I just want to encourage your listeners that that's my advice, where we turn.
Yeah, me too. I think about it a lot, and I've told my wife repeatedly, I can't paraphrase. I'll loosely paraphrase the quote from the Bible verse, which is, you can't be a lover of Jesus Christ. You can't truly love Jesus Christ and be a lover of this world. It's a fallen world, and now I'm really feeling that in spades, as the rabbis literally say they are awaiting their Moshiach, their Messiah, the Antichrist. At any moment, that's going to be announced. And we've got this war now where, God help us if they destroy the Dome on the Rock and build their third temple. I mean, they're just insane. And by the way, as we say our goodbyes to Ben Tapper, I just want to remind you guys that you can't be a lover of Jesus Christ. Truly, you can call yourself a Christian if you want, but I don't think you can truly be a Christian if you're going to bend the knee. If you're going to bend the knee, Gunther Eagleman, Cat Turd, Rob Schneider, and Laura Loomer. Obviously, Laura Loomer is a lost cause. Laura Loomer here says, soon there will be a massive Islamic terror attack in America, and the perpetrators will likely have financial ties to podcasters and those who are sowing discord to foreign nations in America. She's referring to Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. This lunatic, who, by the way, is warmly welcomed at the White House, This lunatic is predicting something worse than 9/11. She says it will likely be 10 times worse than 9/11, and it's going to trace right back to the woke Reich in some way. Again, that's those of us who are speaking out against this madness. We're speaking out against the genocide in Palestine. We're speaking out against sending our young men to die in Iran for a war that's unnecessary. But she has just a sense. I just have this sense, says Laura Loomer. One wonders if she gets that sense from the Mossad directly. I'm just speculating. Dr. Ben Tapper, you know what? I appreciate you so very much. I'll give you the last word, and that last word can be about the lawsuit, what I just said about the knee benders, or both.
Yeah. So
Up to you, sir.
Yeah, if you want, please consider donating to our lawsuit. We don't profit from that. That goes right to our legal defense. So the link's there. But Sean, I really just want to encourage your listeners. Again, thanks for having me on here. I just want to read Ephesians 6:12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. I get emotional. I'm very thankful to be alive. I'm thankful that God has me here. If you have a heartbeat, that means that God has you here as well. And there's a reason why you're listening to what I'm saying. It might be because you don't know Christ. It might be that you're in a hard place right now and there's no hope for you. I want to encourage you that there's always hope. We live in a world right now where it might be falling apart, but there's hope. Sean, thank you again. God bless you. And if you're listening to this, if you're struggling with a health condition, I always tell patients that your body's ability to be well is far greater than anyone, including our government, Fauci, and Bill Gates, has permitted you to believe. You can be well as long as you give the body what it needs. Sean, thanks again. God bless.
Thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. Guys, I know everybody's feeling a little strapped, okay? So if you're one of those folks that's on the bubble, your mortgage, food on the table for your kids, that all comes first. But for those of you who have a nickel left to your name, here's the website, Give, Send, Go. I'll leave the link below. Pitching in $5, $10, whatever you can would certainly help the efforts in reining in Google, which is clearly now an enemy of the American people. It just couldn't be more clear. YouTube, right up there. The biggest websites in the world, folks. Number one, Google. Number two, YouTube. Both owned by the same company. And here is the Substack, drtapper.substack.com. The link is below. Ben, thank you. Thank you so very much.
Yeah, Sean, thanks again. Thanks for having me on.
All right. A pleasure. A real pleasure. Friends, thank you so much. We really, really appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in, folks. And I'll remind you every single day for free. Check us out to get the real news 24/7 at sgtreport.com. The links are below. God bless. Bye-bye.
The book of Revelation says the Antichrist is going to rule over every nation and he's going to govern the world. Well, to govern the world, you need a world government. We've been leading up to this for a long time, Sean. We've been leading up, and I do believe that the rabbis are correct when they say that their Messiah, which we know as the Antichrist, is very, very near.
America will be great when the Messiah comes. And the leader of this country, on behalf of all the good people in this country, will humbly present himself to the Jewish Messiah and ask him to accept the United States of America into a new alliance of countries who accept the leadership of the Messiah.